So here's why PVA is probably one of the most overrated tools you'll ever see. I think it tells you nothing, to be honest. For starters, what patient visit average actually measures, it's looking at the average number of visits per episode. So it seems like that would be a reasonable commercial metric, but it is fundamentally talking about patient retention, but not quality. And this is really important because it's not considering anything to do with your diagnosis. It's not considering how you're progressing people. And it's not even considering whether those people are being successful at the point of discharge. Why I think it fails is it strongly skews towards tenure. And what that means is clinicians who've been around longer tend to collect a lot of these long-term patients who just come in every single week and tick along, and that skews their averages. You see this when you compare clinics, staff who've been there for a long time with people who've just joined, and almost always that's the first thing that throws people off with those team members. Now, new clinicians are fundamentally disadvantaged because of that, but also when you're a new clinician, you're getting a lot of walk by or clinic word of mouth traffic that might just be coming in for acute problems as well. So they've just hurt their neck, for example, and it's the natural history of that complaint. It might be a few days to a couple of weeks. You're not going to get huge visit averages building up from patients who are just walking past the clinic and they've just hurt themselves. The second thing is it's not really telling the story of the distribution problem. You can have practitioners with very high patient visit average who are actually doing quite a poor job for a lot of patients, but they just happen to have a stack of people in the other bucket as well. They might be running huge Pilates classes with just recurring clients. They might have a huge list of workers' compensation patients, So it doesn't actually tell you what's going on there. And you can get this bimodal distribution, which is quite common as well. We won't get into that in too much more detail because it's pretty heavy statistics, but I think we're getting the point, which is that a high PVA does not necessarily make for a great clinician. It rewards over-servicing. It actually rewards people who don't progress their patients very well as well. They just keep them ticking along. If you're diagnosing correctly, people are going to take longer to recover. That's just a fact of the matter. Again, it doesn't reinforce whether you're doing a good job as a clinician. And if you are creating dependency, that will also be reflected in a high patient visit average. So why do practices love it? Why do practice owners often love it as a go-to? I don't think you're retaining your patients very well. Look at your patient visit average. But that is lazy rhetoric because it's only notable after patients have left. So it's too late to do anything about it. There's no opportunity to intervene. And it is, like I said, a very poor coaching tool. So in my opinion, there's better things we can be looking at. And the fundamental things are quality. Was the first consult giving clarity to the patient? Was there good communication? Was there confidence in the plan? And was there momentum towards the next appointment? All things you can see in the notes from a day one consultation. And I think the two metrics to really keep your eye on is the time between that first consultation and the second. Remember, I was talking about momentum before. That is the momentum. Have we taken them into a place where we can say, well, this patient should be confident enough to rebook within a couple of days to get moving on this challenge? The other metric, which I think is so underrated, is how many of your new patients for the month actually made it to their fourth consultation or consults. That's what we want the majority of people to see. We don't want to have this distribution of some people doing 20 and others doing 1. We'd rather everyone was doing 4, 5, 6, whatever consults and getting themselves into the guts of their rehab programs with a competent therapist. Some things need to really change about how patient visit average is discussed. I think we can move forward into a world where we're valuing what we're doing with our patients at a higher level than just the number of consultations they're doing. At the end of the day, we want every patient to come in, have their problem resolved, and leave as an advocate for our practice. And if we're doing a good job with everyone and we're creating these advocates, that is what grows practices. That's what grows diaries. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I'd love if you could like, subscribe, leave a comment if you wish. Do you hate PVA? Do you love PVA? Love to hear from you. I'll see you in the next video.